Institution Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
We have different documents for buying and selling. Especially we have documents for buying and selling in the local environment, and we also have documents for buying and selling in foreign environment. Let's give examples of documents used in local environment for buying and selling. We have letter of inquiry, we have invoice, we have order, we have quotation and price list, and so on. Let me give little explanation. Letter of inquiry is a document usually written by a buyer to a seller asking for information about some goods he has in stock. Let's move to quotation. This is usually prepared by a supplier to a buyer, giving him the prices of goods and commodities he has in stock, the terms of delivery, and how payment will be made. Let's talk about order. An order is a statement usually sent by a buyer to a seller, stating the full description of the kind of goods he or she wanted. When we talk about invoice, invoice is a commercial document that carries a comprehensive detail of how payment, delivery of goods and services, and giving full description of the goods, and is usually sent by a seller to a buyer. Let's now talk about pro forma invoice. There's difference between a pro forma invoice and ordinary invoice. A pro forma invoice is usually submitted before goods are dispatched to the buyer by the seller, especially when the seller does not want to sell goods on credit. Now, we can now differentiate between invoice and pro forma invoice. The first difference is invoice is ordinarily used for credit sales, while pro forma invoice is used when the seller does not want to sell goods on credit. Let's discuss statement of account. Statement of account is usually sent by a seller to a buyer at a regular interval, giving a comprehensive information of how goods and services have been sold during their transaction or business activity. Finally, let's discuss the consignment note. It's a document that is actually sent to a carrier of goods and services, provided if they are to deliver goods in more than one or two places. So they give them a consignment note which gives them direction that you're going to deliver to this so customer today, customer A, customer B. So the essence of the consignment note is for them to differentiate the customer, a particular customer they are to deliver a particular good at a particular point in time. We have indent, we have the consular invoice, we have bill of lading and certificate of origin. Indent is usually used in an international trade. It is an order to buy goods conveyed from an importer to the particular place the good is going to. We have two types of indent. We have the open and the closed indent. Let's talk about consular invoice. As we know from our local definition of documents on buying and selling, we said invoice is used by a seller to a buyer, mostly used whenever the seller wants to sell goods on credit. So when we talk about consular invoice, it's the invoice that has been signed by the consul of a particular country to which the goods are to be consigned, and it's usually in triplicate. Like we have the first copy, the second copy, and the third copy. Bill of lading is a title, is a document that transfers title to the holder of a good to ensure possession of those goods. Finally, let's talk about certificate of origin. Certificate of origin is a document that is usually signed by a custom officer of the exporting country to signify the particular country at which the goods and services is being exported. I want us to get acquainted with some terms. The first term is discount. When we talk about discount, we mean reduction in price of goods and services, to encourage prompt payments, and to encourage bulk purchase of goods. We have different types of discount. We have the cash discount, trade discount, and quantity discount, as the name implies. There is what we call error and omission. Error and omission is trying to tell us that a supplier has the right to correct whatsoever error he has made during the business transaction. Bill of exchange is an unconditional statement in writing, sent by a person to another, and signed by the person to whom it is sent, to pay on demand at a fixed time or at a determinable future time a particular amount of money, given order to pay to a specified person. We have different types of payment. Payment could be made through credit or through cash. There are different types and sources of credit. 1, we have mortgage. 2, we have loan and draft. 3, we have hired purchase. 4, we have deferred payment. 5, we have credit card. And lastly, we have hiring and leasing, and so on. What are the advantages of credit sales? 1 is to increase the volume of sale. 2, to increase profit. 3, to bring about reduction in stock tying down. 4, it makes us enjoy goods we've not paid for. And finally, it encourages bulk purchases. Despite all the advantages of credit sales, we still have disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages is it increases prices of goods and services. 2, it makes customers overbuy. 3, it brings about capital being tied down. And lastly, it can lead to bad debt.
Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.